But anyway, it's about to get underway. Everyone's heading for the seat. Looks like it's a good turnout. It's a right miserable day. It's been very, very snowy in the way up from Manning. It's very, very warm in here, so you don't need your coat on.
We're going to focus on the importance of grass to your farming business and the economic success of the Scottish farming industry as a whole that grass delivers. Many of you have come quite a distance to be here and have put the day aside to be here despite all the work at home that you have to attend to. And I'm very grateful, and particularly given I facetiously called it a spring conference when Charles was reminding me maybe it wasn't quite the term given the weather we've got this morning, but never mind. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You've all got a pen in your bags. If you could fill this form in, we've got a draw. So the winner gets 5 acres of free grass seed. I'm sure you and Tate would be desperate to have that at home. And second prize 3 and third prize 2, and also some of my fantastic whiskey in the offing as well. So vested interest, fill the thing in, and I think they'll be collected at lunchtime, and the draw will be announced at 3 o'clock on departure. So we've got
possible?
We've got 3 speakers, but before all that, I'm going to run a bit of a timeline through the day and start with the 18th century and here in New Lanark, because it was here in 1786 that David Dale built the New Lanark Mills and all the housing for the workers that you see here that's been fully restored. Now this is a UNESCO heritage site. We've only 6 in Scotland, so this is a seriously important place in the history of the developments of the Industrial Revolution in Scotland. And of course, this was the period of the Enlightenment across Europe, and Scotland was at the focal point of this whole radical way of thinking. Basically, Dale built it, and then it fell to his son-in-law, the famous Robert Owen, who this route is named after, actually. And Robert Owen was a social reformer who believed in treating his workers well, provided an education for all the children of the workers, and his cotton mills thrived because his workers respected him. And this was an interesting, different way of dealing with how you treat your workers. So it was an industrial model admired throughout Europe in its day. We're not here, of course, to talk about cotton, but I thought we should mark the presence of where we are. We're here to talk about grass and clover. But interestingly, at exactly the same year as the great Dale was building this vision for the future, there was a revolution going on in Scottish farming. We had a very important development, born really partly by all these wealthy lairds that went off to Europe for what they called the European tour in the time of the Enlightenment. They came back from the Low Countries, the Flemish Low Countries in particular, through Suffolk, came back home and thought they could set about transforming their farms in Scotland. For example, they ditched the old Scotch plough and brought in the Suffolk plough, which made life easier. But they were men that could afford the time to think, which would be a nice privilege for us who have to work so hard all the time. But these guys were very important, and particularly we make reference to the 6th Earl of Haddington, who brought clover seeds into Scottish rotation on his farms just along the road from where I live. So Haddington was quite inspirational, as was William Curtis. He was in England, and he wrote a very interesting group of essays. And this quotation I've known all my days selling grass seed to farmers. And one should take note of what that man was saying, because we still live in a time where we don't necessarily all do this. That much of our meadow and pasture land may be rendered infinitely more valuable than it is at present by the introduction of some of our best grasses is an opinion which has long prevailed among many of the more enlightened agriculturalists of the present age. And in this room we have men of that ilk. But out there in the farming world of Scotland, there are many men who are not really making the most of what this wonderful crop can do for them and their profitability of their farms. So that was Curtis in England. But as I said, the Earl of Haddington introduced clover seeds. And then we had 50 years of an explosion of grass and clover getting reseeded in Scotland. Haddington's contribution with the introduction of clover was summed up in the late 1790s by this quotation. If the machine will work. I can't even read it out because I haven't got it down here. Anyway, we can maybe come back to that. Things, of course, have moved on considerably since these days. And today we face very different challenges in the farming industry. But you could say that, in all honesty, we need something of a new revolution now in how we go about our farming if we're to meet the challenges of competing at the world stage, which is actually where we're now competing. And it's also really about getting back to the basics. The basics of soil management, feeding the soil properly, and making sure the grasses that your animals are eating are going to allow them to thrive and leave you with hopefully a bit of a profit. So, today we'll hear from 3 grassland enthusiasts and how they see the benefits of grassland improvement in the challenging business environment you're all in, both in practical and scientific terms. I hope you find today enjoyable and informative. So rather than piling up all the questions and answers at the very end of the day, we're going to take questions from Robert's chat. Oh, here we go. Robert's chat after his talk, and then we'll move on to the next speaker, who is Mary, rather than having it all at the end, because you'll have forgotten everything Robert said by 3 o'clock. Okay, so I'd like to hand over to Robert Neal. Oh, incidentally, let's have a look at this. So this is Haddington's introduction to clover, was regarded amongst the first and will probably prove to be the most important and permanent of all improvements in modern husbandry. And somebody wrote out in 1790. And how true was that? Okay, over to Robert. Thank you very much. Robert was telling me he was speaking last week at a conference and the slide projector blew up right in front of him halfway through his presentation. At least it worked for half the...
Today I'm at Newlanark. Don't know the name of the river here, but there's quite a lot of water in it anyway. I've had snow on the way up from Manning. It's not been too bad, so it looks like it's going to be okay for going back home.
Sunlight comes creeping in, illuminates our skin.